All right, hey you guys. So in this video, I want to give you guys the top 3 questions that I feel like any entrepreneur should have answered before they start their journey of opening whatever business that they want to open. And I'll also give you a little bit of a backstory of how kind of Four Willows came to be and just really what my thought process was behind it. So, I know a lot of my close family and friends know, but I had my oldest when I was 16. So I really became consumed with the identity of being a mother to a certain degree, as I should. I wanted to make sure that I didn't fail with her, more importantly, because she, didn't ask to be here. So I really got consumed with just making sure that I created a life for her that she deserved. But, unfortunately, as it happens a lot, is that it ended up where I kind of lost who I was and just what I wanted to be and who I was as a person. So I really realized that I was just kind of going from career to career, trying to fit what I thought was right, not really what I felt was right. So I really had to sit down and I just started thinking about just before, becoming a teenager and thinking about boys and everything. Like, what was like my kid dream? And I remembered a specific story of when I was maybe around 10 or 11, and an old grocery store closed down by North College Hill High School, Cincinnati, Ohio, if you're not familiar. And I told a friend of mine, I was like, oh my gosh, we should really make this into a skating rink. It'll be so cool. Everybody can have fun. And I'm sure her 10 or 11-year-old self was looking at me like, you're crazy. Like, we're in elementary school. What are you talking about? So I always had an entrepreneur spirit and just didn't realize it yet. So I've really always wanted to like create some type of space that really brought joy to people's life and showed them, another side of the world that could sometimes be so harsh and cruel, even at that young of an age. So for quite a few years in my adulthood, I went back and forth about opening up some type of event center. It really has always been super heavy on my heart, and I think I just got to a point after a couple of events that have happened that it was really time for me to try to put my full effort into it. But with that being said, I'm a mom now. Like, I have 4 kids, so they are always going to come first at the end of the day. And I know, if you watch Shark Tank, Kevin always says, you're treating it like a hobby if you don't quit your job. And I just wholeheartedly disagree with that, especially with like what's going on with the world and the economy. We need to have a job. We need to have health insurance. So I am not willing to sacrifice my kids' stability for my dream. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to go for it. I'm just not willing to sacrifice their stability for it. So I have to do it strategically. So, I decided to register and get my LLC. I decided to make sure that I had some benchmarks, making myself accountable, and create a self discipline that honestly I thought I had up until now. Because there's so many times where I'm exhausted and I don't feel like doing it. Even doing this video right now is so awkward and weird for me, and I'm going to probably cringe when I see it online, but I'm going to have the discipline to just do it. So now here are my top 3 questions that I feel like everyone should ask themselves when they're starting a business. So here goes my number one. Number one is obviously why. Why do you want to do this? For me, I want to do this because I love to create joy in people's lives. I love to see a smile on people's face. I love to see other communities and families come together and show a love in a different way that I've never seen. So that's my why. And then why would people want what you're doing? Because at the end of the day, if there's no need for it, or people don't understand why they need it, then it's not going to necessarily work. So for me, I feel like there is a need and a continued need for spaces for people to be able to celebrate each other and celebrate life, and I don't think that'll ever change. So that's kind of my why. Does people want to do it? So and then number two, here goes number two. What are my boundaries and my limitations? So I am very much not a my head in the clouds type of person. I'm a very realistic, atypical brain. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. So I want to make sure, what am I willing to take a chance on? How far am I willing to take this before I have to make a decision that it's time to be done or time to stop? I think having that question down pat doesn't mean that you don't believe in your dream or care about what is happening or you think it's going to fail. I think it's just smart for you, especially if you do have family and kids, that you understand that you don't want to put them in a space where they're homeless or without food. So I think having some type of boundary or, you know, limitation on what you're willing to do is super important to make yourself accountable for that. And and stick to it. Yeah. Now, number 3, the last question, what am I ready? Well, not what. Am I ready to make myself accountable? Number 3, am I ready to make myself accountable? For me, I have to set specific goals for myself. I have a lot of anxiety. I have been diagnosed with having bipolar 2, as well as depression. So those things, I have a tendency of bouncing, having really, really highs and then kind of crashing down and having lows. So I think it is good for everyone to be able to set kind of, you know, specific goals, whether it's daily or weekly, of like what you want to be able to accomplish and do. For me, it's okay, I need to look up at least one thing a day that could help me progress in my knowledge in the industry and how this business will work. It was to a point where it's like I need to fill out at least 2 applications a day when I was trying to find a new job. So having kind of specific goals to help you kind of measure what success looks like to you, and again, making yourself accountable and having self-discipline to be able to keep momentum and keep moving. But with that being said, with that question is giving yourself grace. I know that I surely do not give myself enough grace of the things that I have done and accomplished, and I am working on it. I'm not perfect at it. So this is definitely like I'm preaching to the choir, I need to take my own advice, but really show yourself some grace. You know, there's days where no, I did not reach that goal, and I don't beat myself up about it. I'm like, my body told me to rest, but tomorrow I for sure need to do it. I need to maybe double it tomorrow, but today I'm gonna give myself grace to relax, enjoy my children, and not think about the business because I don't want to get burnt out and overwhelmed where it doesn't matter to me anymore. So those are my top 3 questions. In our next video, I'm hoping to be able to give you guys a little bit of a process of how to get your LLC, and really kind of what that process looks like. But I think we're at like 10 minutes. Don't want to bore you guys. See you later.